Don't forget to subscribe.
They say I always had a plan, a contingency for every mistake, a path when the walls closed in, a way out even when I was cornered. Yes, I was the man behind the red jumpsuits, the architect of the greatest heists the world had ever seen, the professor. But let me tell you something the world never understood. My war was never with law. It was with limits. People believe that intelligence is a weapon. They're wrong. Intelligence is a responsibility, because the smarter you are, the easier it is to cheat, to lie, to steal. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. My father was a simple man, a bank robber, yes, but only because the world had shut its doors on him. When he died, I didn't inherit his gun. I inherited his reason. And that reason wasn't money. It was justice. But somewhere along the way, the world confused the two. I crafted plans not to glorify theft, but to question power, to hold a mirror to the system and say, if you're going to call us criminals for printing money, then what are you, when you print billions from thin air and let the poor bleed in silence? But hear me carefully now. Crime is not revolution, and anger is not strategy. If you're watching this, thinking I'll give you a blueprint to rob a bank, you've missed the lesson entirely. The real heist was never the gold. It was time, control, freedom from mental slavery. The system handcuffs your mind before it ever touches your wrists, and my mission was to unlock that. But even I had rules. No killing, no blood, no innocence. Because the moment you cross that line, you're no longer a strategist. You're just another thief. Yes, I made mistakes. People got hurt. Not all my plans went right. But let me be clear, I never romanticized crime. I romanticized resistance. Resistance against mediocrity, against injustice, against a life spent surviving, not living. Do you know what the greatest plan is? Becoming the kind of person who doesn't need one. Discipline, focus, imagination. Those are not traits of criminals. They are the tools of revolutionaries, scientists, artists, of people who bend reality without breaking the rules that hold us all together. I studied chess not to win, but to learn how to wait. I read philosophy not to argue, but to understand silence. And I planned. Oh, I planned. Not because I loved chaos, but because I feared it. Planning was my way of praying, of staying human in a world that demands you become a machine. They turned me into a symbol, but I was just a man. A man who believed that intelligence without empathy is just cruelty wearing a suit. That's why, if you have a mind like mine, I beg you, don't use it to escape the world. Use it to rebuild it. One thought at a time, one person at a time, one plan at a time. The smartest people don't rob banks. They change the system that... They think I was always composed, always calm, always in control. But control is a myth. What I had was preparation. I had rehearsed every possible outcome, every betrayal, every gun to the head, every heartbeat skipped in the face of collapse. So when chaos arrived, I greeted it like an old friend. People admire that. They say, he's a genius. No, I'm not. I'm just someone who respected fear. I let fear educate me, not paralyze me. I let doubt sharpen me, not bury me. Because if you wait until you feel ready, you'll never move. Let me tell you something I've learned about life. It doesn't reward the brilliant. It rewards the prepared. A mind like mine, it's not a gift. It's a burden, wrapped in silence. You see things others don't. You sense dangers before they arrive. You overthink, overwrite, overanalyze. And while the world calls it strategy, you're quietly falling apart inside. But that's the price. Not of genius, but of vision. Because once your eyes are open, you don't get to look away. So I built systems, mental architectures. I structured my chaos into patterns, pain into logic, grief into steps. I called it planning, but really, it was survival. You don't need to rob a bank to feel trapped. Some people wake up every day in a job they hate, in a city that suffocates them, next to people who don't know who they are. That's a prison too. Only difference is, no bars. So when I tell you that I understand confinement, I mean the kind you carry in your chest. Now listen carefully. You don't need red jumpsuits or masks to start a revolution. You need clarity. You need purpose. You need belief, not in money, but in your own capacity to create something better. That's the true heist, to steal back your life from the noise, from the doubt, from the lie that says, this is all you'll ever be. They taught you to memorize formulas, but never how to think. They rewarded obedience, but not courage. They feared your ideas, because they were never designed to hold your light. So you shrunk. You adapted. You learned to survive in their structure. But now, it's time to outgrow it. The most powerful rebellion isn't violence. It's transformation. Turn your pain into a blueprint. Turn your anger into discipline. Turn your silence into strategy. That's what I did. And no matter how many vaults I broke into, the real break-in was always within me. I had to infiltrate the walls I'd built around myself. Walls made of guilt, of shame, of fear. And on the other side, I didn't find gold. I found responsibility. People followed me, not because of what I stole,